This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Afternoon, fellas, ladies. Thank y'all for being here. I thought our kids really responded well after a disappointing outing at Rutgers and bounced back last week with really good work. Our coaches did a great job of simplifying things, I think, defensively especially, and particularly with the kind of depth we were taking into the game, and really thought there was some good play. Isaac Steele really played well, and the only drive that they really had and sustained for points was they tempoed us a bit, and we had one guy that just didn't get lined up 3 straight plays, and it cost us in that. But thought the second half they were as good as we've been. So hopefully we can build upon that. And offensively, we were very efficient and put up some really good numbers. It's a different ball game this week. This is a tall task, one we're excited about having, but it's a whole different scheme, whole different world for our defense to match the physicality of this football team. Is going to be a tall task on both sides. Kalani has done a great job there. I got to meet him this year out at the coaches tournament and on the West Coast, and he's just a joy. He's really a joy to be around. He makes everybody laugh. He's got a great heart, a great soul, and he's passionate about coaching his kids at BYU, and they play like that. They are big and very physical offensive and defensive lines that will test us for sure. And their length defensively at linebacker is probably as long as I've ever seen. With 6'5", 6'6" linebackers that when they drop into zone coverage, it's not a lot left with them. So offensively, we're not quite sure what the quarterback status will be. Their starter of the year had surgery, and it's 6 weeks now that he's been out, and that's what the original diagnosis said. He could be back as early as 6 weeks, so he could be returning. And then their quarterback last week, 3 Hall, left the game with a concussion, so you don't know exactly what's going on with his protocol there. So we're a little uncertain. 16 would be the next guy in, but it seems like we've said that a lot this year about we're kind of uncertain who we're facing quarterback-wise, but this is another one of those times. Really impressed with their 2 running backs, 4 and 35. 4's very explosive, very active in the pass game. And then, they got an NFL tight end that's a leading receiver for him, 89. He's really good. So it's going to be a great test for us. We've gotten we should be fairly healthy for this time of the year, and it'll be a great challenge for us to be on national TV and have a chance to elevate our brand.
It's kind of my first question was, did you get out of this game pretty healthy? I think I saw Ben Alexander maybe with something on his shoulder, but outside of that, it looked like it was a pretty clean game.
Yeah, Ben has a sprain of his shoulder. It's not we don't think it's anything that will keep him out this week. He was moving around pretty well yesterday, but that was the only one that we got dinged up in Saturday's game.
What did your defense do to improve from those prior 2 weeks to this week, and what was the biggest thing that you took away from that?
Well, it's I think the Rutgers deal's a whole different ball game than what we faced at UMass. We matched up better with what UMass does, in all honesty, than what we witnessed at Rutgers. So I think our kids were not happy with the way they played at Rutgers nor at the previous game at Maine. So they wanted to get their swagger back, and we just went back to kind of day one install stuff and said this is what we're going to do. And I don't get heavily involved in game planning on the defensive side, but I was in all those meetings last week just to not to tell them what to run, but I wanted to hear it and say, no, that's too much. We don't need that. And Scott was awesome because we all of us coaches, me, them, when you're planning, well, this is a good idea and this is a good idea, and I got another great idea over here, and they're all great ideas. But if your kids don't understand them, it's an MA waiting to happen, and our kids are not ready to do the whole gamut of offense or defense, really. And, I think one of the reasons, Buckshot is, he's taking care of the football and making good decisions most of the time. But we've really just, we limit what we carry into the games in his decision making, and he's more confident and he plays like that. And I don't know how many throws consecutively he's had now without a turnover, but it's been quite a few. And so I think defensively, I just wanted that mindset to be the same in there in game planning. And so I stayed in there quite a bit last week. And another reason is I knew exactly what they were going to run because it's the exact same stuff we run, and I know what gives us problems. And I just wanted to be a resource. And again, Scott called a great game, and his staff did a good job. I don't call defenses but we just worked hard at, let's carry a simple plan and let our kids play. And they played better with more confidence.
And you also mentioned the brand aspect of this week and getting on national TV and playing BYU. And, of course, you've been around long enough now at Liberty, at least in the last few months, to know that, BYU and Notre Dame, that was kind of the standard that Dr. Falwell had set out in the beginning. What kind of an opportunity is this for Liberty in that regard?
It's a huge opportunity, and one that we talked about yesterday, and we'll embrace it. It's I think we've got to put ourselves in a position to where we can get on national TV and play some of the traditional powers that be in college football and be competitive. And this is probably our first one that's really on national TV, I guess. And what a great opportunity. And I think our kids understand that. They understand where we are in the spectrum of kind of what the end of this season could look like. We've got difficult games, and it sure would be nice to find a way to win a couple of them.
Shader Lewis did not play. You went with Troy Henderson at kick return. How's Lewis doing, and were you impressed with what Henderson was able to do in the kickoff return?
Yeah, those were some tough kicks he had to return. They caught us twice with field returns, and the ball was kicked high to the very sideline on the 20, and it's almost impossible to get it all the way back. So I thought he got the most out of what he could, and I was pleased with him. I'm pleased with Troy. He's coming on and using him in some different ways, so pleased with him. Shadro could have gone probably, but in warm-ups I just thought I just didn't think he was full speed, and let's rest him another week. Same thing with DK. Damian King could have gone too, but just we didn't have to, and we played DeMario obviously, and I think both will be really ready to go this week.
Austin Lewis were both in concussion protocol last week. Where are they stand now?
They were back out yesterday. They'll be a non-contact, I think, for Tuesday, and then should be full go after that.
The one disappointing stat line from the game was the -3 turnover differential, and they scored 14 points off those. Were those just fluke plays with the two backup quarterbacks losing it, trying to get a first down and a touchdown? And then have you addressed with DJ about, in those situations with fielding punts, what he should do, what he shouldn't do? Yeah,
I assure you we addressed it, and he should know those rugby-style kicks, just get out of the way and get us the ball. That was, he hasn't made many decisions that you second-guess, but that was certainly one of them. And then the two backup quarterbacks, they haven't taken a hit like that in a long, long time. Landon's, he's got to secure the ball. Pops, you just don't do that near the red zone on first and goal. You don't try to stretch the ball out, or you don't do that. And again, he hadn't had a lot of reps, but he's had enough. That one really upset me because we use him in short yardage, and he's in ball security drills, and so he's got to secure the ball there. At least if he doesn't get it across the line, we've got other downs to get it in.
Are we allowed to mention the word bowls now?
You are. We can talk about it.
You mentioned previously about just wanting to get the team to a bowl game and let the players experience that. But what would something like that mean to just the Liberty brand?
Yeah. Well, I don't tell the players this part of it. I want it because we get extra practices. we need them. We need extra practices, and that we get 2 springs really. And I get all those backup quarterbacks and receivers and O-line, and I just think when you're building a program, those extra practices, man, are huge. And that's part of it for me. But it's part of elevating the program where you get those extra practices but getting, when I first came here, that's one of the first things I thought about is, man, it excites me to think about the administration, the fans, and obviously our players and everyone around it to be a part of what could be the first ever. And it's not many times in your life you can say that. And I told them yesterday, look, the DNA of this team, our time is short. We don't have much time left together. 3 games in the regular season and hopefully one after that, but it's going to go fast, and we will never be together again in this DNA. And you have a chance to put your mark on something, so we must embrace the moment. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, these next few games are difficult, and so it's still a tall task. It's going to take attention to detail, an extraordinary amount of focus and passion, and need the ball to bounce our way a few times.
Coach, you have said you're the type person that likes to be backed up against the wall. This game, do you feel like you guys are against the wall taking on BYU?
Yeah. Well, I would think that it's the task is tall for sure. You're going to play a team that's beaten USC, Tennessee, Boise State. That's pretty good football, and they've had some disappointing losses that I'm sure they would say they didn't play their best in. I hope that's the case Saturday night, that they don't play their best, but it is a tall task for our first year of FBS to go and play a team that just beat the likes of the teams I mentioned. That's it's a tall task. I don't know that I feel that our backs are against the wall. I just want us to continue to improve and play well, and manage the game correctly and have a chance at it.
Coach, watch Utah State game yesterday. Very creative offense that BYU brings to the table. Were the other games you saw that creative offense?
Yeah, they're it's not a whole lot of different things, but off of everything they have the reverse, and they have the reverse pass, and so whatever run they have, they also have those 2 things off of it, and you're going to see them most every game. So that's how they kind of keep you off balance, I think. They haven't been a team that just is going to throw it down the field, and some of that has been some of their quarterback issues, but they find a way to do it, and they're creative in doing that.
Henry Van Deelen traveled and dressed. Is he an option that you might want to see him get in a game here the last 3 weeks to see what he can do as a backup?
Well, if we get him in the game, it's either really good or really bad. So I'm not going to say that I want him to be in the game, but should we be afforded the opportunity, it's really just he gave us the best chance if we needed a guy to throw it down the field to win a game, he's probably the next best on our available roster right now. So that's why he traveled.
When you look at the Henry Chibuzi at defensive line, got his first action, how do you feel he graded out playing there at nose guard?
First play, he fell on the ground, and then after that, he did good. He really did. I'm happy for him, and we're going to need him this week because we started referring to him as the USS Chibuzi. And so we need him this week. He's going to have to play some to match their. That was one of the things in the Rutgers game you just noticed is Ralph and Vince had to play way too many snaps, and we were just committed last week to rotating, Devin and Chibuzi in there. and we'll need them this week.
Solomon and Brandon both went through Saturday's game fine. What impact do they make at linebacker when you can have them start and then you rotate in the younger guys?
Yeah, it's our thinnest room probably. If everybody's healthy, it's just thin, and those two, their run fits are just more consistent over and over and over again than the others that we have, and and they were on point. The first touchdown run, they misfit it. Two guys did, a D lineman and one of the linebackers, but other than that, I thought their run fits were on point, and it made a huge difference.
With the amount of experience that they have as quarterbacks of that defense, how important is it that they're both in the game and playing with injuries, that they're in there to make an impact versus younger guys who don't have that amount of experience?
Yeah, I'm proud of all of our kids that are playing hurt right now. I think there's a fine line between knowing being hurt and being injured are two different things, and those two kids understand it, and they knew the importance of this football game and what it meant to the team, to this program, and they were willing to go with whether 80% or whatever they were. They were willing to be out there and lead.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, and I may very well be. It wouldn't be the first time, but I'm just thinking back through the season. Have you guys really had to deal with a pass-catching tight end like I guess you might have to here this week, and how's that going to stretch your defense?
Yeah, this is different. This whole game plan defensively is going to be pretty new to us from what we've witnessed this year. It's just different, and that tight end is a problem, and so we've instead of figuring out how to take this slot out of the game or a wide out of the game, or now you have to fit all the runs, and you've got to be aware of this tight end for sure, and the back out of the backfield. Plus, they have some receivers too that are long. I don't think they're just guys that you fear running by you all the time, but they're so long they don't have to. But the tight end is a matchup issue.
Are there some guys on your defense that you're going to have to maybe ask to do some different things this week and maybe out of the ordinary for them, or moving guys around to account for them?
Yes. Won't go into detail, but
sure.
yes.
No, I didn't expect you to go into great detail. Also, something we haven't really talked about a whole lot this year, the offensive line, and I guess you don't really talk about them typically unless something's going wrong, but it looks like they've done a pretty good job. Kind of speak to the job that Coach Greg has done there and just the consistency they provided. Yeah,
I think we've gotten better and better there. If you look at our, the early season, we didn't rush the ball for great numbers. Again, I've never got hung up on that. I really care about what the average per run is, and then when we had to run it, could we? And I think the protection has gotten better for Buckshot, and definitely we've been able to run it when we've had to. And, the first half the other night, they just kept giving us, throw opportunities off the run game. And so we took those, and then the second half we said we're going to line up and try to run it, and so I think we had 200 yards rushing in the second half. So it was good to see, and they finished off some games previously by doing that. So I think the job that Coach Greg and that room has done has definitely improved. And we got to play a lot of kids. We're really impressed with Cooper McCall Saturday. He's one of the kids that needs to develop for us, and I used him as an example yesterday because he's paid attention to what Coach Dom in the weight room and Danielle in the nutrition, because he couldn't play at 270, and he's up to 292 now, and so he's doing the things that you have to do to be ready to play at this level, and it was good to see him have success, in the game he's played the most in.
BYU dropped 8 a lot last week. Is that more so because of Love, the quarterback at Utah State, or is that typical of what they do?
Yeah, they're not a big blitz team. They don't have to be. That's not really who they are. Not that they won't try that some, but they're typically a drop 7 team. They'll add a 4th guy. Add a 5th guy every now and then, but it's more of coverage. And again, the length of those those linebackers, it makes it tough on windows to throw in.
When they drop so many, how important it, excuse me, to win that point of attack so that you can establish a run against them and maybe chew up some clock and then pick them apart if they try to bring some guys in.
Well, they're really good at reading now. They're not going to drop unless they get a pass read. I mean, they're going to have 7 and 8 attached to the run, and they get there in a hurry. So it's not like you can say, hey, we're just going to run it and they're going to drop 8. They won't do that. They're very disciplined. They read their keys. They get a run key. They're showing up in a hurry. So, we'll have to be very balanced, though. We got to find a way to run the ball to try to shorten the game some, for sure. That would be very nice if we could do that.
Football.
That's being debated, and probably will be all the way up to kickoff.
You're on the Clay Travis show this morning, and he brought up a situation regarding a friend of yours from the Sun Belt days who was fired from his job, and your name was brought up. Is there a way that you make sure that doesn't get involved in it? Or?
Yeah, the world today is just a different world, and Willie Taggart is a good man, and I hate to see anyone. I've gone through the public loss of a job, and it's not fun on your family, your kids, and there's so many people involved there, and I've come to grips that my name just floats around a lot for anything that creates a story, it sounds like, but most of which is never true. I don't. Man, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to do what I do here, and that's it.
Buckshot is one of only 2 active quarterbacks now that's got over 11,000 passing yards. Just can you talk about how proud you are of the progress that he's made after kind of a slow
that's what
start
the Clay Travis show should have been about the whole time, and that's what it was scheduled for. And I'm thankful for Clay for that. I am, to highlight, what's going on here. And I mean, Buckshot's in rare company now. There's not many walking around that they can say they've thrown for what he has. And but the thing that I'm really proud of him for is him truly. And it took some time for him to understand how to prepare to, so last year I don't know how many touchdowns, but it's 18 picks. But now that ratio is about 20 to 2 or 3. And that doesn't just happen because he just shows up to play. I mean, he really had to learn how to prepare and how to study, and Kent's obviously done a nice job with him, and so that's what I'm glad that he is seeing the fruits of that. Not only the yards, but him understanding the quarterback position is most importantly taking care of the football.